Hello, this is Scott from Walking My Path. Today we're at the Simon Willard Woods in Concord, Massachusetts. Simon Willard was one of the founders of Concord who worked with Native Americans to help settle the land, and this was one of the areas where the Native Americans lived at. As a kid, I loved wandering in the woods, imagining myself a mountain man. This may be a hickory stump. They take a while to decay, and many of the trees seem to be about the same size, and so this may have been cleared 75 years ago or 100 years ago. This may have all been cleared. As we get deeper into the forest, we encounter older, larger trees. Our destination today is Egg Rock, the confluence of the Assabet and Sudbury Rivers forming the Concord River. This land was significant to Native Americans, and this tree may have been struck by lightning, and then, of course, had decay from nature and other items. Like I said earlier, as a kid, I really loved wandering in the woods and playing. Did you ever play in the woods as a kid? If you look at these big trees, they seem to have some basal scars at the bottom, possibly just from people walking, but it also could be from logging. Let me know what you think. We're going to look at some stonework today. This first piece is probably just done by it's modern, done by hikers. May confuse some people in the future, but it's still fun. Let's walk over to the Sudbury River. It is January, and we can see the ice forming. In the past, this would have already been frozen. You can see the winter clouds on this crepuscular walk. There's a rock wall later that we're going to come to eventually, that I really want to go over, and it's got my imagination. But take a look at this old stump. This is decayed quite a bit. My apologies for not stopping longer. A little bit of stonework there. It's not the stonework I really am wanting to look at. Um, but there are some stones there. Okay, we've moved over to a different trail. This is the Reformatory Trail. It's was once a railroad line that went to the prison, and it's been out of operation for some time. And now we're approaching the stone wall that I wanted to discuss. Um, I think it was originally probably started by Native Americans. There's no small stones, so this wasn't put here for crops or vegetables. It may have been put here for hay fields, um, wheat. But as we go down to the river, you'll see that it's actually makes a boat dock, and so canoes could be possibly pulled up in here. And we do have evidence of beavers, and we'll see more of that later. But we do have some beaver activity, and as you notice, there's, like I said earlier, there's no small stones. So this was not cropland, and we have some fairly old trees interspersed here. And this in particular could be a prayer seat. It is facing the correct direction. And if we follow this on up, we have a really old tree up here. And here it kind of makes almost a gate, and so I'm assuming that it could have been added onto later on by the settlers. They may have added sections to the wall. Land is fairly flat here, so I think that there were wheat grown here, and they may have had some sheep here. That this may be completely native. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? I'm really intrigued by it myself. And then over here is the railroad trail, and it actually breaks the wall. And now we're starting a new day. I'm going back because I wanted to look at it again, and this is a completely different stonework. And also we're still in the Simon Willard Woods, starting down a different trail, but going back to the stonework, and then eventually we'll actually go out to Egg Rock. But this is some very old stonework, and there's lots of, in this part of the woods, there's lots of pits and cradles, and so this was never cropland at all. Probably had sheep, um, or it could have been designated as just a boundary, but can't imagine going through all that trouble for a boundary. And so I think it was probably sheep that they had. And now we're on the back on the Reformatory Rail Trail, and this was a railroad at one point. And so you can see a lot of smaller trees. So when they did the railway, they did clear this out. Native Americans did live here, and as it was a good place to live, and a lot of people still do. It's Still considered one of the better places to live. Um, Up to the right, there's actually houses. This is a wonderful place to walk a dog, actually, or just take a nice walk. As you can see here, we've got some more beaver activity. Beaver's managing the woods or just getting some material for his house. Beaver hut. I'm not sure where the beaver hut is at. We can go down and look around. I'm pretty sure it's not immediately nearby. So this is the Sudbury River. Go back to the trail. All right. And you can still find pieces of coal left over from the trains. I imagine they use that to keep the trains moving. Me and my daughter have found railroad spikes on this trail. So Emerson and Thoreau walked over here to Egg Rock many times, and there are stories about picnics that happened here, and um, there's still events that are planned here. Um, Here we have a bench with for a young man that passed away in 2018. So we're going back to the rock wall. I wanted to take a look at the land around that. couldn't remember how flat it was. And I wanted to make sure see if there's any pits or cradles or if the land's fairly flat. Do you get pits and cradles when you're this close to the water? Not really sure. But anyway, here's our rock wall again. And I'm just looking at the land, and it looks really flat. Not a lot of trees, but the trees that are here are fairly old. Probably not as old as the wall. The majority of them. Some of them probably are, but some of these smaller trees are probably just about 100 years old at most, maybe 50. The real small ones are probably less than 50. But yeah, the land is very flat, so at some point this was likely um, farmed for hay or something. There are no small stones, and so I don't think the land was plowed. If you'll take a look at this, I'm pretty sure that this is a Native American arrangement of stones for the equinox, for viewing that. I think it's maybe a prayer seat. And you can see that's a much larger tree. And there's stones that are nearby. You can see that's a piece of quartz. These are a little harder to make out, but we are still nearby. We're near a wall. And it ends here. So we're approaching Egg Rock, a confluence of the Sudbury and Assabet Rivers, forming the Concord River. And as we get over here, we'll see that the roots have eroded some on the trees. Anybody that's an arborist or knows about this, please put in the comments. Is this just due to the water eroding these away, or is there something else that created that? So this is Egg Rock. If you were to take a canoe, you would. There's a plaque actually that's on the rock talking about it. We're here at the confluence of the rivers. All right, so let's walk down to the shore and well, see what's going on down there. So the trees take on all sorts of shapes down here. As you can see, a beaver. We've had quite a bit of beaver activity here. Fairly fresh. And over here, you can see a little sculpture he's made from a previous uh, endeavor. All the trees down here, or a lot of the trees, look like they've encountered a struggle with the elements, the wind and the water and beavers. Well, that's all we have for today, for the most part. You can walk all the way over back to the Reformatory Trail from Egg Rock, but there's no actual trail, and so it is a little spongy, a little rough. Um, but if you like this video, please subscribe, give it a like. Thank you for walking with me. Let me know where you'd like to take a walk next time.